Well, there's no suggestion that this debt profile is coming down anytime soon. And then if you look at what is happening, it appears that it will indeed continue. If you look at it at the national level, it's quite alarming, but it's even more insidious and alarming in my own view at the subnational levels, where you had that the state governments are into racketeering of loans and racking up loans like no man's business. You see almost all first-time governors in the states across board in the states are either applying to get loans or are in the process of finalizing their loan request. And sometimes, if they are not able to borrow from international and multilateral finance partners, they're able to now do that at the local level. And then you see now that the government is in a hyper competition with the public as to who will borrow. For instance, the commercial banks now have a lending appetite to subnational governments. And so you now said that at the national level, the local component of the debt is 51 point something trillion. These are monies that should have gone to industries. These are monies that should have gone to businesses. These are monies that have gone to, the real sector of the economy. But the government is now competing with individuals like you and I as to who will crowd out the borrowing space at the commercial bank level. So it's quite alarming because the monies that you take away from that system is the money that should have gone into the productive ventures by business entities. That's that on one side. Then I want to step back a little bit to look at the actual cost of the borrowing. Because if you look at the borrowing and the whole rhetorics around it, you will miss the point. If you now step back, you might begin to see, why do governments want to borrow? And that brings us to this thing about the government wanting to prove itself in either 100 days or in 1 year. Look, there are some of the problems that will not go out in 4 years. There are some that will not go out in 8 years. We should have this at the back of our minds. But then when you have a government that must be rotated every 4 years, that must be changed every 8 years or so, that is in this constant pressure to show themselves, to prove themselves, then they are almost always in a hurry to prove themselves, even when they acquire unsustainable debts. Then when you also look at the quality of people we have at our public service and then the people you have in positions of responsibility. If countries like USA are borrowing from international finance institutions, sometimes they get these loans at better deals. They get single digits and then they structure better loan deals. But Nigerians, for some reason, once they're able to get the money, whether it's sustainable or not, and then whether or not, once it is not their government that will pay back the loan, they're in a hurry to rack up the loans and they're in a hurry to show that they are doing this or that, even when they are passing huge debt burden to the next generation.